Hi everyone. Okay, this is going to be our last lesson of the school year actually, and this is actually the last one I'm recording at all for this year. Certainly as far as planned anyway. So I promised you we'd do translations, and that is what we're going to do because this kind of finishes off the whole of the transformations kind of section of work. Okay, so this is the last one. Okay, the four things that we looked at, we did rotations, enlargements, reflections, and this is the last one, which is translations. So I mentioned before, but the word translate is like what we use for languages, isn't it? We change it. So I think last time I used the example hello and bonjour. It means the same thing. We've just kind of moved it a bit. It's funny, isn't it? So the same thing here. When we're doing translations in maths, the shapes we translate are going to look the exact same, but we've moved them. Okay, and before we dive into all of this, I just want to make sure we're all happy with what I've written down here. So these are just a set of axes, and we've got Y at the top here going up this one, and X is here. And you should be happy with these because we did them a few weeks ago when you looked at linear graphs. But just to make sure, okay, so X is going across and Y is going up, and these arrows, they show us the positive direction. Okay, so X is going up this way and Y is going up that way. Okay, so from that you should be able to kind of deduct that X is going down this way and Y is going down this way. Okay, it's really important you're happy with those, and that just a little sketch like that might help. Okay, if you struggle to get them the right way round. I know some people remember this because Y can be made to look like, well, it's not very straight, is it? But the line going down, and X is a cross. When you do an X, it's like a cross, and it goes across. Okay, that might help. So you need to make sure you're happy with that before we go on to anything else. Now, big one, okay, column vectors. These are really important, and they look quite scary. They look really mathsy, okay, but actually they're really lovely, and they make things so much easier to do. Because what we have is, so I'm going to write something here, just an example of what I've done there. So let's say 2 and 1 in giant set of brackets like that, okay? And what that means is the shape we're looking at, and you're going to see them in a minute, is we're going to move it 2 along in the X direction and 1 in the Y direction. So this is just like maths code, really, you know. It saves us just writing out, move 2 in the X direction and 1 in the Y direction. It's loads easier, isn't it? And so I've done it there in a simple way to remind you that X is the number on the top, that's the X direction, and the one at the bottom is the Y direction. So can you please write that down in your book? And if you want to put some examples like this, brilliant, that's great. Okay, so just pause and write that down. So we call these column vectors because they're in a column. Now, I've got some different examples here, okay? Some examples of translations. So I've only got 5 of them, so it's not going to be a long video. I've got 5 examples. So to translate, we're wanting to move our shapes, but the way we know how we want to move them is by our column vector, which is normally written somewhere nearby. There's no importance that I've written it above the shape, okay? It's just somewhere nearby, or it might be in the question. Translate the shape by column vector to 1, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose a corner. I'm going to start with this corner up here, okay? It doesn't matter which one you start with, you can choose any. And I'm going to go 2 along in the X direction, okay? So I'm going to go along by 2, so 1, 2, it lands me there. But then I'm going to go 1 up in the Y direction. Now I don't move this one, I carry on from where I was, and I go up by 1 and I land up here, okay? So a little bit like the enlargements, okay? A little bit the same kind of idea about moving along spaces. Okay, so that corner is now here. Now because we're not rotating, we're not enlarging or anything like that, the shape's going to look exactly the same. So if you can see where the shape's going to go, feel free to draw it in. But I quite like to do another corner, something just to help me, okay? So I'm going to do this one down here. And I'm going to do the same thing. 1, 2 across, and 1 up. Okay, that's going to land there. So if I join these up, I know that is this line here, okay? Let's do the last corners. So 1, 2, and 1 up, that's going to be there. And the last corner, 1, 2 across, and 1 up, which lands there. As we can, Do you know what? By September, I think I'm going to treat myself to a nice new ruler, because this is half of one of those folding half rulers. I don't know what happened to the rest of it. It's not. It works at least. Okay, so there's our image. Remember how we wrote that? We wrote A dash. Okay, it's the image. So that's what we're doing. The shape doesn't turn around. It doesn't get bigger or smaller. We're not flipping it over or anything. We're just moving it. So let's try the next one. Okay, B. Now this one, a bit more of a complex shape. Let's choose, I'm going to start with this corner this time. No particular reason, just it's nearest to me. I'm going to go 1 across, 1, and 3 up. Okay, 1, 2, 3. That's going to land there. So my shape is going to start there. Now, those of you who want to, I'm just going to show you how to draw it in there. Some people might like to do this, some might like to plot all the corners. There's no particular right way. I'm happy for you to use whichever, as long as you're confident and get to the right answer, then it's fine. But you might say, okay, so if this corner's the same, then I'm going to go 1, 2 across. So actually I can see that that bottom line is going to go 1, 2 across. And from that same corner I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 up. So I can start to draw my shape in without doing all of the corners. There is another one here that might be convenient though. If we draw this one here, and it might be helpful. So we're going to go 1 across and 1, 2, 3 up, just to help us with that inside, because it's a bit of a funny shape, isn't it? It reminds me of Tetris actually doing these. If you remember played that game, it's quite an old one, but where you have all the shapes that kind of slot in to the game, you have to make them all fit, and then when you get a whole row together, it disappears. It's a brilliant game. Okay, so there is our image, B dash. Now, this one's a little bit different because we have got a negative number. Now don't panic, think back to what we said here, okay, about x goes up this way, so x must go down this way, so our positive numbers go this way, our negative numbers are going that way, okay, down there. It's the same thing on here, okay, so I'm going to go 3 in the x direction, so let's pick a corner. I'll use this one here this time. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 across, but because this is a negative 2 in the y, I'm not going to go up, I'm going to go down instead, okay, the opposite way. So 1, 2, and that corner is going to end up here. Let's do this corner. So 1, 2, 3 across, and because it's negative, I'm going to go 1, 2 down, and the last one is all the way up here. 1, oh, I have to go through my drawing there. 1, 2, 3 across, and 1, 2 down. Okay, I'm going to join my new points up to get the new shape. And make sure that you look afterwards, and just make sure your shape looks right. It looks the same as the one before. You'd be surprised how many people could pick up on mistakes by just looking and saying that doesn't look right. It doesn't look the same. It does now. We're lucky we've got it right here. But sometimes you'll see, it doesn't look quite the same. Has one of my points gone wrong? And just double check them. Okay. Now, this one here, a similar sort of thing, but we've got 2 negatives this time. Okay. So I'll start with this corner, and they're both -4. So my x is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 in the negative direction, and then the y is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 down. Oh, very close together, aren't they? Okay, let's try, I think I'm just going to do 3 points off this one and see if I can get the shape drawn from that. So there's a cut point there. 1, 2, 3. Oh, 4. It's because I just said 3 points. And 1, 2, 3, 4 down. So we get a point here. And let's do this one as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, makes a nice little pattern, doesn't it, that one? Okay, so that's those 3 points. So from that, I can see that they're my kind of steps up. Oh, I missed one. Yeah, that's right. It's actually a good idea. I didn't do it very well then, but it's quite a good idea to join them up as you do them, because if you get to the end and you've just got crosses everywhere, you can start to think, oh gosh, how do I connect all of these together? Okay, and then I can see what's going to happen here. It's going to come down, and this is actually another Tetris shape. So I got my inspiration for the shapes all the way along the bottom. And there we go, so that's the image of D. Now the last one, I just thought it's a bit of a boring shape, really. I've just used a square because I suddenly thought, goodness me, I know people get really good at doing these complicated ones and then they get something with a 0 and they think, oh, what do I do? So I'm going to show you. Just use the exact same method you've been using, okay? So 4 across, and that's a positive this time, so we're going off to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's going to become there. And 0 up in the Y direction. So it just stays here. It's not actually going up or down, it's staying the same. So let's do another one. Just going across by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last one. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So all that one's done is just moved across. So if you get a 0 in there, don't panic. It's fine. It actually makes it a bit easier for you. It's one less thing to do. There we go. Oh, and there's our image of E. Okay, so there's 5 examples. Use those to help you with yours. I'm going to send over to you. I've set a sheet which is actually quite nice. It's a few different activities in there, so it breaks it up a little bit. Yeah, get in touch if there's any problems. Oh, I did write a little thing as well. Here we are. Have a wonderful summer. Okay, I will be around over the summer, so if you're catching up on work or anything like that, do get in touch. It's fine. I won't be miles away from my emails, I'm sure. So you know, if you are playing catch up, please get in touch if you've got any questions. Thanks, folks.